Well guys, welcome back. We are doing a little bit of a special video this morning. Centerville High School is being demolished actually, and my brother-in-law works for the company that is the one demoing the Centerville High School. So we've got the opportunity to run in, see some cool equipment, see things get crushed. It's actually been crushed, but we're coming back to do the equipment tour and film the rest of this video. I got some awesome drone footage, which you guys will see of the equipment actually crushing the building. But we're gonna go take a closer look at the equipment that they use and the process that it's done in and where all the stuff goes, and a little bit more about the demolition industry. So some cool equipment, maybe some fun facts about the Centerville High School, kind of make a video about like kind of a historic moment of the end of a high school that was built in 1908.
1918.
The high school that was built in 1918. So yeah, fact checkers, this is we just did internet sleuthing stuff here. I did not graduate from the Centerville High School, so if there's people that, or neither did Molly, so if there's people that know way more history about the Centerville High School and they want to like share it, put it in the comment sections, and also hit the thumbs up button. Let's go see some big equipment.
That's a baby coffee.
Do I need a hat?
No, you're fine.
Okay, so we're doing the pre-morning talk about how we're gonna actually film this video here, but this is Brandon Zinser. So is it your family that owns Zinser, right? Obviously.
Yep, my father does.
Yep. So want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, my grandpa started doing it in the demolition industry in probably the late 70s. Had his own business for a while, then sold it in probably the mid 90s. My dad kind of went and did his own thing, worked in some big cities like Chicago and Minneapolis. Yep. Ended up moving back here in like around 1999, I think, and started this actual company, DW Zinser. Then been going strong ever since. So did you start in like big wrecking jobs, or did it start small and then got into the big wrecking jobs? Yeah, I mean, you always start small. Then when he moved over, he just did whatever work he could find, basically, to start. You know how it is starting a new business. Yeah, now we do everything from single family homes to
everything.
As tall as building is, in Iowa.
In terms of machines, we'll talk about the machines, but the high reach left, which they weren't sure if it was going to leave, which I have video of the high reach. Sure. Which is, it's a pretty cool machine, and they have to carry around a crane with it to be able to move the high reach, because like you have to take the counterweight off, and you guys will see all this stuff, and you got to take the boom off. But is that high reach the biggest machine that you guys run?
That's the highest reaching. The biggest one we run right here is the 374, but the high reach is mainly for reaching up, and it can reach like 84 feet, I think, at its highest. So we can reach up and cut beams and process stuff at height. Where this is more working for the underground and up to like 3-4 stories. Okay, so we'll talk more about the high reach, but he's gonna have to start loading trucks. So we'll start out with the big piece of equipment. I was thinking we might start with the little Bobcats, because Brad was telling me that they basically put them into a bucket and then shove them in the buildings to move them around. But we'll start with the big machine just so that he can get started here. This is a Cat 347, 374. There you go. I mixed up my numbers. Tell me about this thing. It's a 160,000 pound excavator. It is a little different because it has plumbing, hydraulic plumbing on the stick, so we can run work tools like that concrete processor over there, pulverizer. We can put a shear on it to cut I-beams. So it's a little more versatile than just a normal excavator, because we have that plumbing on there.
Is there anything else that's specialized on this that makes it a demo?
Other than that, just the guarding on the front.
But that doesn't really make it a demo. That's just like anybody that wants the guarding, that's kind of an option.
Can put that on,
so it's not like an order from Cat, like, hey, we're going to be doing demolition. do like different protection on the cylinders or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean that stuff is available, and that's actually just started coming out. It
Okay.
wasn't available at the time we purchased this, but they do have a demolition spec nowadays that you can order from Caterpillar now.
So
Not in this size machine, actually. The 395 you can, and then what they call the 350.
so the 395 would make it like a 190,000 pound machine.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah. So to move this gal, what do you have to do to move it? We can walk around if you want to show it.
Take the tool off. We have to pull that stick pin up there, get it down low enough.
The cylinder pin or the actual boom pin?
The cylinder to stick pin.
Okay.
And then
because it doesn't actuate far enough down to tuck it or something?
Correct. And then we just take the counterweight off, and we have a big enough lowboy that we hire that can move it that way. We used to have to move the tracks in and take the stick completely off, but this bigger lowboy makes us we don't have to do that. That saves us about half a day's worth of work whenever we move it, put it together.
So it's fueling up right now. How much fuel does this thing carry?
I would say probably 185 gallon, I think, or something like that.
And it burns it all in one day?
Not all, but if you're working it hard, it'll burn over, I bet it'll burn about 120, 140 gallons a day though.
Okay. So what size of bucket is this?
I'm not sure. I know it's a 60-inch bucket. It's more of a heavy-duty bucket. If you look at it, it's probably about twice the thickness, the side frames and the cutting edge. So we opt for a smaller bucket that's more heavy-duty because we have to pry a lot of big heavy concrete out of the ground.
So this could have a bigger bucket.
Oh yeah, you could probably put an 8-foot bucket on here.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Like look at the teeth on that. Like compared, and I mean I don't have the smallest of mitts, but like that's just crazy.
Yeah. So we mainly dig out big concrete, so we don't want to break buckets, so we get the heavier duty, smaller version. So. Okay.
So then what are your tools that you have that available on this gal?
Well, our shear is not here because we didn't need it.
Yeah. So the high school, which you'll see in the video, is when they're crushing it. There wasn't a lot of I-beams in there. There's just a couple above like the windows and stuff, but there's no like actual like real metal that you had to cut through. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So this is our concrete pulverizer demolition machine. It'll open up quite a bit. I mean, up to about right here. Whatever you can fit in there for concrete, it'll just turn into rubble. Okay. And that'll, pretty much any concrete beam you can get around, it'll just turn into dust.
How the heck do you get this on to that? Like, do you have to use another machine or like?
No, it couples right on. There's just a switch you flip in the machine.
Oh, okay.
And it couples right onto the machine.
So that's just like my excavator, is that it's. Okay, I see now. It's like you can just walk up to it and then clip onto it.
Put on the 4 hoses and you're working.
It's like look at the size of that ramp. Like that is.
It's like a.
Man, if that thing ever started leaking, you'd have a day.
I think this is a 12,000 pound tool. So.
12, yeah, that's. And like with a 12,000 pound tool on the end of that thing, does it like rock it or anything? Or
it handles it really well.
So you got enough weight that you're not like sitting there and bobbing or anything like that all day?
Then we have also, like I said, we have a shear. So if we're running to a building that has more I-beam construction, we put the shear on.
Yep.
Cut the steel instead of just
so like that is just like if you look at it, the gap is really wide. It's like if it was a shear, it'd be more.
It actually has shear jaws in the throat.
Yep.
For cutting the rebar.
So that's what it would look like.
The entire thing. Small shear over here that goes on our smaller machine.
Is this for you or is that on Brad's?
This is Brad's. This is a magnet that we use.
I'll have him chat about that way.
So here's an example of the shear. This goes on the smaller excavator. These are more. This is for cutting.
So
steel.
yeah, there's what a shear looks like. Yep. So is the rest of the stuff then goes on a Brad's machine or something? I'm guessing that. Yeah, that's the only thing that looks like it might go on yours.
I only run the bucket and the pulverizer here. That and the shear. It's not good.
So and then when we'll talk about the high reach, I'll have Brad chat about it. But like, is the high reach got just a shear on it, or does it have?
It has a tool similar to this, and actually this one you can change the jaws, and you could put concrete jaws in this. Yeah. But yeah, so we can do either.
Do you have any automation control or anything on this machine?
No GPS. We don't really do a lot of dirt work, so we don't really need it.
You don't need it. Is it capable of having it, or is it like?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We don't. This stuff's expensive, and the justify the cost. It don't really make sense for us. We don't really ever use it.
So is the nickname of the machine Skinny?
That was actually my nickname, believe it or not, back in high school.
Oh, yeah, he was a wrestler, a really good wrestler, actually.
But yeah, that's kind of the basics.
And what are they doing?
I think he's just moving out of the way.
So they're gonna go fuel?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's the counterweight. So you gotta unbolt it, or is it just drop off?
That one, it has its own removal device. So it has a cylinder that you can't see that comes up with a chain. You take the tension off of it, and then you take all those bolts off and it'll lower itself to the ground.
Yeah.
And that machine will actually pick up its own counterweight.
Yep.
It doesn't have its counterweight
Okay.
on.
So, yeah, so it's a cabling system. So it's not like an actual arm that kind of like lowers. It's a cable deal.
It's basically a cylinder that goes straight up with chains coming down. And before you undo the bolts, you got to run the cylinder all the way up. Then the chain lowers it down to the ground once you get the bolts out.
Yeah, 160,000 pounds, almost 170,000 pounds, 83-ish thousand pounds machine. Like, those are big machines, but just look at those two sitting next to each other. Well, thank you.
Yep.
I'll let you go start loading some trucks, try to get some footage of it. Oh, gonna crush a skid steer here. So this is my brother-in-law, Brad, who I've said multiple times needs to make a YouTube channel about breaking stuff, baking stuff, and barbecuing it. He could barbecue shoe leather and you'd want to eat it. So, this is the machine that he mainly runs. It's we'll wait until the tracks stop squeaking. And fun fact, like when you hear the tracks squeaking, people think you might want to grease your tracks. You absolutely never want to put grease or oil on your tracks. Correct? Correct. Because they will actually attract the finer stuff into the pins and it'll wear your pins faster. So, 340, you want to give us your specs on your 340? There's a 304.
Not a 304.
Okay.
It's a 40-ton machine, so it weighs just over 80,000 pounds.
Yep.
It's purpose-built for demolition. It can reach up 45 feet.
So
straight boom instead of the bent.
So that's the purpose built of this machine. Is if you look at this boom, it doesn't have like, if you look at that one, how it has like the arc, like kind of like a half of a rainbow on the boom. This one's straight up, so you can reach higher. That's what the purpose built is. Okay, continue.
So then it also has the cage. It has bulletproof glass, or it's got like layers of the like poly in it, so that way it doesn't break.
Okay.
And then it also has that on the roof, so that means none of the windows open on that machine.
Okay.
The front window doesn't open or anything. The tracks on it are very narrow, that way it doesn't bend as easy, because we bend track shoes all the time because we track on top of concrete.
So when you're saying that, like, show me exactly what you're talking about with that.
These tracks, usually these are like 30, I don't know, like 36 inches wide.
Yeah, like my excavator, that's how basically wide my tracks are.
So this thing sinks bad.
Oh, so you can get stuck in this thing. Well, you can't really get stuck, but you can not move, and then you call Big Brother, say, come hook me in.
Yeah, come hook my bucket and
come hold my bucket and give me a little nudge.
Yeah, it's real fun when you have this on, because you have nothing to hook with this.
Okay, so this is the same as that big one. It's just the minier version, correct? It's a concrete crusher.
And this one has a pulverizer jaw on it, so you can see the back has 3 bars instead of that one has 1. That one's made for just cracking the concrete. Okay. And this one's made for pulverizing it and getting the rebar out of the concrete. Okay. So that's how we recycle the concrete.
So that's why when I was asking Brandon, is that machine built for demolition? He said, and when he said yes, now you can spec them for actually demo. This one was ordered as a demolition excavator, or a wrecking excavator. Okay. Yep. Does it have anything else special on it in terms of plumbing, like guarding or anything like that?
It doesn't have any different guarding on it, but it does have the lines ran, just like that one. Okay. So that way you can run more functions. Yeah. More functions than like a normal one? Like if somebody, like, is it got more hydraulics than like say a regular excavator would have? No, it's got the same ones, it's just plumbed.
Same ones,
so
it's just plumbed differently. Okay, does it have any type of tech or GPS stuff on it at all?
It's got all the GPS and everything. Like it's got, you can set in there if you had the system to limit where like your job site, so you can't go past where your job site is. Okay. You can't swing into it. Okay. It's got stuff like that, but nothing that we actually use for demolition.
Okay, that's kind of what I figured too. So you want to show us the tools that you also have? So that one's similar. For instance, do you know how much that one weighs?
I think that one is like around 7,000 pounds.
So that one is legitimately less than half of that one. From, no, I think, did he say 12,000? I can't remember.
That's like 12.
Yeah, so maybe not quite half.
But then this is my tool also, and this one is a shear for cutting up I-beams.
Yep. So right now on the job, we can talk about this now. Like Brandon is loading out, correct?
Yep.
And you're processing.
Yep.
So
I'm downsizing for him.
You're down, so to load out, and there's a lot of dump trucks lined up right now to go. So rebar is in concrete, and you process the rebar out of the concrete because you guys try and recycle.
Yeah, everything. We recycle all the steel. We take it to the scrap yard, and then you can't really dump rebar. You're not supposed to. Yeah. So you want to get all that out. Okay. And most recyclers, like if you take the concrete to like a Wendling quarry to be recycled, to be reused, they don't want a bunch of rebar because they don't want to have to deal with it. They don't want to have to deal with it. So we got to make it clean to go there.
So if you take concrete to, which all this stuff, from what I understand, is going to the Wayne County Fairground. They've got like a whole area that they can dump there. That's trying to make more ground for the fairground, basically, from what I understand. But you could crush out the rebar out of the concrete, take it to a quarry, and then that quarry could reprocess the concrete or whatever.
They recycle it and turn it into road stone or
what else do you guys recycle other than the metal and stuff that comes out of it?
Well, pretty much, I think 90% of our jobs pretty much get recycled. Okay. The only thing that doesn't get recycled is like the landfill. So your wood, carpet, the roofing material, styrofoam, that kind of stuff, insulation. Yeah. That all gets sent to the landfill.
Yeah, so this is the metal shear, which we kind of showed. It looks like a big scissor. Then he has a magnet over here.
So this has got, inside here, it has a generator that runs off of the hydraulic power. So the hydraulics go through and it spins the generator, which creates electricity, which then runs the magnet.
So how much could you pick up with this? Could you pick up a car with it?
If it was dense enough. It just depends on how dense
the metal is.
Yep. So like over on top of our trailer over there, we have a steel plate that we use for protection, like on sidewalks and stuff, so that way our trucks can drive over it, we can track over it, and it doesn't crush the concrete. I can pick that up with this magnet. Or like my bucket, which weighs wherever it's at. I think it's down below.
It's right over there.
Yeah. I can pick that bucket up with the magnet.
Okay, that's very cool.
And that bucket probably weighs, what, 3,000 pounds?
Okay, so you could pick up a little car. Most little cars are around 3,000 to 4,000 pounds.
They're not, the steel isn't dense enough for it to have enough magnetic power. Okay. It's got to be thick.
So then, what are these other guys over here?
So that right there is the shear jaw that goes in the high reach processor. It just didn't get taken. When it left, it didn't get taken. Okay. So we can switch out, because the processor that the high reach uses, you can put in cracker jaws, shear jaws, or the pulverizer jaws. It'll run all of them. Which that one is actually a multi-processor too. And you can just switch the jaws out and put pulverizer jaws in that instead of shear jaws. Okay.
So then over there, if we look over there, and I can maybe fly my drone here in a second, but you can see the rebar. That's probably, is that waiting on one of your guys' trucks to show up?
Yep.
And then you're just loading out local joiner trucks with the fill stuff right now. Yep. So like all that stuff has been processed, downsized, and now in 2 or 2.5 scoops, basically, dump truck is filled. Yep. So, and if you heard him say you could put an 8-foot bucket on it, you could about like a bucket and a half a dump truck or so, couldn't you?
Yeah.
So that's just the crazy part there. But there you go. You can see a truck hauling out. They're hauling about less than 2 miles away, so they'll be able to turn pretty fast today.
20-minute turnarounds.
20-minute turnarounds. Yeah. So that's pretty darn quick. So we'll start chatting about the high reach probably when we start doing some drone footage, which I'll just ask Brad here the questions in a second. But tell me about how you put the skid steers into the buildings. Or we want to go, is that one of them that you can lift up and in, or is that one too big?
Nope, that one goes in. And usually what we do is we've got a skip box that you can actually put the skid loader in, and then you can set it in the window, and then you chain it in and you could drive it into the window then. Or what we usually do is we put our bucket on backwards, and we back the skid loader into the bucket, and then we chain the skid loader to the bucket. Keep going up.
About another foot.
This is 226 B3, so that's like what, a 10,000 pound machine, if that?
No, I think those weigh like 6,500 pounds.
Oh my gosh,
so. They're small.
They're really little. And the little Bobcat that was on the trailer, it's gone now. But
I think those are just over like right around 3,000. It's just a little Bobcat S70.
Like little machines, and that'd be absolutely wild driving a skid steer through like a building, and you could probably feel stuff moving and everything. Yeah,
you can always feel the building moving.
Yeah. So.
But that's why that one looks so bad, because it's always in buildings.
And gets around into stuff on purpose or accident.
Usually on purpose. And it's got a grapple bucket on it, so you can actually grab stuff and rip and tear.
They have a Cat just skid steer to be able to move stuff around, pallet forks, everything like that. That's not really used for wrecking too much. No, it's more or less to move fuel tanks around and stuff when need be, or like clean up little areas probably like
we use
this.
That for grading.
Yeah, so it's really not a wrecking machine. It's just you need to have something like that around when you're doing this stuff. So okay, tell us about the high reach, and I'll overlay as we start. It was sitting right here, and you can tell me about how the actual like crushing process works, which absolutely blows my mind, because that thing was basically sitting on top of a, wasn't it on top of a, that hole wasn't there when,
no, that was
it just filled?
Yeah, it was completely full of rubble. So
so it was crushed, or okay.
The way we work with the high reach is he'll go through first, whoever's running it, which is usually Brandon, and sometimes I run it, all depends on the job, is you'll go through and you'll wreck everything you can with the high reach and get everything collapsed in front of you. And then the smaller machines, either that or that machine is what actually came in. You come in behind it and you'll clean everything up and get everything moved out, so that way you can essentially build a road. Yep. So that way the high reach can keep moving through. So you pick all the steel out. Usually what we do with that machine is we pull all the steel, all the giant chunks of concrete, all the junk back, and then it goes to my machine, and that I'm the one that actually goes through and sorts it. So I'll put, you know, steel in one pile, trash in another pile, and then all the concrete and debris in another pile. And then we go as far as picking out radiators, electric motors, copper, aluminum, stainless steel, and that all gets separated.
Which, when the drone footage, you'll see it on it, but his grapple is sitting over there, so we're not going to go over there to go get it. But it's like a clam deal, and then it can also rotate a full 360 too. Yep. So that's what you use to sort stuff out mainly.
And load the trucks out.
So, but yeah, so give us the specs on the high reach.
The high reach can, I believe it's 84 feet that it can reach up to, but that's literally straight up, so your tracks are right at the building pretty much. So you don't ever really work that high. Really, like a safe working space would be like between 70 and 75 feet up. What year was the high reach? That one is from 2010. 2010, and like, what's the weight on it? I think when it's fully set up, it's like 150-ish thousand pounds. Okay. But it's actually a 345, so it's a 45-ton machine. So it's a 345 machine, so it's not that heavy of a machine. It's the boom and everything that adds a whole bunch of weight to it. The machine itself is like it's like 110,000 pounds. So, but then when you add all the boom to it and the bigger counterweight, that's what makes it so heavy. So okay, so other than that, it's just a standard excavator. It's it just has, and like the cab can tilt on it, so you can be sitting there, and if you don't want to sit and look up the whole time, you can recline back so you can just look normal. So now Cat actually makes those high reaches, but like that high reach is like a retrofit kit for that. Back in the day, they did make that one. They did make that one. Okay. So but then Cat quit making them for a while. Okay. And now they're just getting back. They're starting it back up. Okay. So now if it like a modern, like as big as they get one,
what would be like the reach capacity on like
I think on a Cat 390, I'm pretty sure you can get like 140 foot.
Oh my gosh.
It's either like 100, it's either 140 or 170. I don't remember. They're big, but you're talking a 390. That's a 90-ton machine.
Yeah. So that's metric tons. So that's 2.2 thousand pounds. So 2,200 pounds per ton. So you're 180 plus another 20% of that. So you're 210, 220,000 pounds on the machine.
That's just the base machine.
That's
the
base machine.
They put a bigger counterweight on it, and they put the bigger boom on it.
So
and that boom actually telescopes.
So it could get to probably in the neighborhood of like a 270,000 pound machine.
Probably.
That's just craziness. That's just insane. So what would like a new machine like that cost? Or any idea?
I have no idea. I think just the base machine itself is like $1 million or $1.5 million for just the base machine.
Makes combines look cheap. Not really, but makes combines look cheap. So, well, that's a little bit of a tour of how these jobs are done. I've always thought Brad has an awesome job. It's like the crush stuff. I would like the crushing part. The cleaning it up part, yeah, I don't know.
It's not that fun to clean up. Not that fun.
No, it's like a lot of loading rocky, bumpy stuff. And if you've ever been in on tracks in a place that's not flat, I got a feeling the cabs are really fun to track across this ground.
Oh yeah, especially when you're like out at the dump site, pushing with a dozer over top of rubble. You can imagine tracking over that stuff with a dozer.
Oh my gosh.
You feel it sometimes in your kidneys.
Every day.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for Zinser for letting us come out and kind of show the little part of maybe a little bit of Centerville's history getting crushed of the old high school. So this is going to be turned into a parking lot as far as I know. Yeah, see you in the next one.
Cavalry, 3rd Squadron, IEA.